What's up, guys? Welcome back to DYAD in the Force. So, May 4th happened and it's gone. I'm just kidding. We got a lot of things. We got Tales of the Underworld, and right now we're going to talk about Asajj Ventress's story. I'm going to get it out of the way. I lost my S. I lost my shit.
I mean, Quinlan. Quinlan watch. Yeah. No. I feel you. I was in the same boat.
Years in the making, and not only Quinlan, but we got like pretty much the ending, the epilogue. At the
end of Dark Disciple.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm gonna let's get this out of the way before we get into what we really appreciated about this story. I'm assuming you did, Chuck. Came out of it appreciating it. So I'm having trouble reconciling with this decision, this story decision that they have for Asajj. And that's not to say I can't be swayed. Like I realize that we don't have a lot of insight from Asajj Ventress. In the beginning of the first episode, we see the epilogue of Dark Disciple, and Quinlan walks away saying, "I'll always love you," and joins Obi-Wan and leaves. And then, Night Sister stuff happens. Talzin compels Asajj Ventress and says, "You have two choices in front of you," or something. You can join your sisters and I in the Netherworld, or you can return to the land of the living. And Ventress says, "At what cost?" And she says, "Your heart's desire." And she steps out back into the land of the living. Now, my contention with this decision is, if you read Dark Disciple and you know why this is happening, she chose to sacrifice herself for Quinlan Vos to save his life. And I feel like this quick turnaround is her, well, not her, but basically, do I say Filoni? I don't know. This quick turnaround is kind of like it's kind of like going back on that sacrifice. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I didn't think about it from the perspective of the sacrifice that she made. Would kind of disagree.
No, go for it. I'd love to hear
it. When it comes to like the actual sacrifice she made, she sacrificed her life to save the man that she loved, right? The way I see it, she was successful. You know what I mean? Like that's it. Coming back doesn't negate that she died for him, and time passed and all this stuff.
Well, let me reframe it. It's not the act. It's not the act of coming back. It's the act of coming back and giving up her heart.
Yeah. So that is something that I did have a problem with, just because it felt unnecessary. It felt like we just don't want them to tell a story of them together.
Yeah. That's
so
essentially.
We're just gonna put this artificial barrier, and then we're not gonna have them meet again, which was disappointing. I did enjoy the arc for what it was. I loved seeing Ventress run around and stuff, and seeing this lighter side of her. I mean, remember when she did sacrifice herself, she felt the light. Mm-hmm. And that was like a beautiful moment, and then even she's still Ventress, just charting her own path. I still think that kid was an idiot for not going with the path.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, what?
I mean, but at the end of the day, it's one of those like feel good stories where like he had more fun with her than than the outlook of
than he
joining
thinks
the
he
path.
Might have with a bunch of survivors his own age and stuff.
You never know. Listen, if we both had spent time with Asajj Ventress, I think we would both to elect to stay with Asajj Ventress.
Okay, no, that's true. Ultimately, Star Wars has a problem, in my humble opinion, and that's characters need ends of their story.
Yeah.
You can't just, their story can't just go on and on and on forever. You're gonna end up with a kind of storytelling issues based on that. I don't know. That's at least how I feel. How many lives has Ventress had now? Right? She was born a Night Sister, and then she was a slave, and then she was a Jedi, and then she was a fighter, and then she was
Bounty hunter.
Dooku's assassin, and then she was the bounty hunter, and then like it keeps going, you know. I don't know.
That was the breaks
like,
for Night
I feel
Sisters.
like that just keeps happening. You know, I feel like Maul is in the same boat, but at least Maul has an end to his story.
Yeah, this is essentially where I came down on it. Like I didn't really like that story decision of the that kind of fabricated story barrier between her and Quinlan. You know, I spoke to a couple of people about their insight into the story decision, and shout out to Captain Goofy Hunter for saying that she knew that if she reunited with Quinlan, it might make him abandon the path. But my pushback to that is, what's stopping her from helping with the path? Like, why would reuniting with Quinlan force him to abandon his stuff? You know, she's alive, she's free, she's no longer has any tethers or ball and chain to kind of keep her from doing whatever she wants. So, I mean, essentially, I did enjoy the story with Lyco and her, and you know, I actually did like that he stayed
Particularly
behind.
the last one.
Yeah, with that old separatist general.
Yeah.
That was cool. I mean, we need those lessons to be told a lot, you know. I mean, it's cool that like what that story told was that no matter which side of the war you fell on, people suffered PTSD and like had like deep rooted biases that they had to get over. And in this case, like the general was still at war. He still had battle droids in front of his house, his homestead.
I mean, his little granddaughter is still running around shooting, you know. And I think it was a story on like just the generational, the effects of putting the anger and hatred you have and instilling it in the following generation.
Yeah.
And you know, just seeing this little girl despise, you know, Lyco for being a Jedi. It was crazy because she doesn't know Jedi. She has nothing against Jedi. They have done nothing to her. But like that's how those things get passed down. And
but that's essentially where I fell on Asajj Ventress's arc. I largely enjoyed the story and where she's going. Like obviously she has a lot of potential in terms of her outward trajectory, because you know she could do anything at this point. But I didn't appreciate, at least in my opinion, the walk back of Dark Disciple, where it was such a memorable scene for her to sacrifice herself and then be like, oh, I want to come back to life, but I don't care about my love of Quinlan. I know I'm minimizing things because I'm biased, but
they care about the you know, the written material, but at the same time don't care about it. You know what I mean? It's like they wanted to throw an attaboy to them, but they didn't want to tell a story that required that you have read this book.
yeah.
But if that's the case, pick a different character, you know, or do something else, or I don't know, just try it, because that story might be good.
I also,
but like if she did wake up and then they got back together, and that would be like a happily ever after kind of right then and there. So I do understand having more stuff in the middle.
what I would like, and Star Wars or Lucasfilm, if you're watching this, pay close attention. I would have liked more insight from Asajj Ventress as to why she made that decision. I think having that, or at least making it so that it looks like it's a tougher decision for her to make, rather than like, you can do this or give up your heart's desire. Nope. Step out. I think I would be more inclined to, I suppose, try to reconcile with it. But at the moment, because of the short form nature of Tales of the Underworld, it just kind of like almost glossed over the epilogue of Dark Disciple and said, okay, off to the races with Asajj Ventress. You know?
Also, overall, I feel like there is something that they could be doing by telling parallel stories.
Mhm.
That together give us deeper insight into the Star Wars universe, and they're just not doing that.
Yeah.
There was just none of that in this one.
On the flip side, uh, Inquisitors. I think Inquisitors have a real Order 66 survivor problem. We understand that there used to be like 10,000 Jedi around the galaxy, and there's probably close to like 200 or maybe even more survivors out there. But like, it seems like, and this is the last thing I'll say before we wrap this review up. It seems like they have a Inquisitor in their back pocket for every time they just need one, and then they die. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like it seems like we have like a principal like 12, and then like for whatever stories they need for a survivor to encounter Inquisitor, they just kind of throw another mask on and be like, oh, it's Inquisitor 1300. You know what I mean?
Which again is the main problem of, we gotta stop telling Clone War stories.
Yes.
There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff here.
At this
I
point,
think,
I'd be more welcoming of Sith returning. Like, give us the Lost Tribe or something. Like, do something new with them in the future timelines.
yeah.
But that'll do it for this review of Tales of the Underworld, Asajj Ventress. Let us know what you guys thought of the story and Ventress's arc in the comment section below. Leave us a like, subscribe for more videos like this, and consider joining the DYAD Squadron if you want to support this channel. But that's it. On to the next one.
For Light and for Life.
We are all Lyco because we're obsessing over Ventress.
And Ventress is mommy.